So first of all, I know I need a shave, but it's been a long week working on site with customers and just a busy one really. But I just thought this would be an interesting video for other people like me who are moving from a UK-based company and maybe other EU countries as well, such as Spain. I know is very similar to the UK in their model. And you're moving to working for a Swedish company instead. Now, if you're like me and you work in a kind of services company, consultation, IT sector, any sector actually, this might sting you financially, and it's good for you to be aware of this. So when I travel for work, whether it's within the UK or abroad, while I was employed by a UK employer, lunchtimes and evening dinners, the customer's contracts had an agreement that said that the customer will pay for expenses. So that means that my lunch, my dinner is fully expensable. Now, obviously, as a consultant, we're obligated to make that cost effective, not to go and eat five-star fine dining every single night at lunchtime. So, we do our best to keep costs low. And at the end of each week or end of each month, we would expense the receipts in our expense application, and that then bills it to the customer's expense budget. That's quite standard for a UK services company. Now, it's different when you move to Sweden, and obviously I've transferred to work for a Swedish company. Now, the big difference here is that when you're working away on business, in fact, the ruling, and now this is not my company, this is a Swedish taxation law. If you're 50 kilometers away from your home, then you are entitled to expense. However, you're not allowed to expense a receipt directly and in its entirety. Instead, the Swedish government give you, I think it's called a traktamente. Probably pronouncing that terribly, sorry. But basically it means it's an allowance which is tax-free. It's defined by the Swedish government. And it basically works on when you leave home and when you get back from your work trip. It doesn't matter what you spend during that work trip for lunch or dinners. The Swedish government don't see them as a benefit. They see it as a personal cost and not something that you should be obligated to from a tax perspective. And so what that means is that they give you an allowance. It's 240 SEK a day, and that's assuming you travel or were away for that entire day. Otherwise you get a segment of that, not the entire amount. The problem is 240 SEK a day, about 20 euros, about £20, or something like that, doesn't really go very far. I mean, I'm on a project at the moment based in Stockholm where the lunch alone is 100 SEK, not very expensive. But then we're in the middle of nowhere where the hotel is, and there's not really a lot of option for eating. And so we're kind of bound by the restaurant of the hotel, where dinner generally costs about 250 SEK, including a drink, maybe 350 SEK. So you end up actually at a loss. So me working away is costing me money. Now, I raised this, to question it. Is this right? And yeah, this is standard in Sweden. It's not our company. It's the Swedish law, Swedish financial taxation law. But it does mean that if you're in a business where you're working away a lot, you really have to think about your expenses. You have to think about preparing lunches and bringing them to the office with you rather than eating. You have to think about when you're in a hotel, well, make sure you find a hotel that has a cheap restaurant. Otherwise, some of these hotels really cash in on business travelers like me. They know that the options are highly limited where the hotel is, and so they charge whatever they want. So it's an interesting one. It's been a bit of a shock for me, a bit of an eye-opener. I was aware of it before I moved. I just didn't really think about the fact that one project to the next can vary depending on how much they want you on site. Some customers need you on site constantly if the workload is very high. Other customers are happy for you to work remotely because actually it's much more efficient. You get a lot more done when you're not on site. But anyway, for those of you in a position like me, or the sort of job type that I'm in, hopefully this is useful, and comment below please with your thoughts and experiences on it. In the meantime, back to work. That's the end of my little fika coffee break, which I'm at home at the moment, so luckily it didn't cost me anything. Have a good day, folks.